So we're here for gentle. Make sure you grab whatever you need. So if you need blankets, and same thing at home. I don't plan to use a strap today, but let's sit comfortably. So sit up on blankets. If that feels better for your hips, use those blankets so you can sit easily for your hips. Let your eyes gently close. And then find a comfortable place for your hands to rest, right? You may decide you want to kind of move them around a little bit. Let yourself find a comfortable place so you feel really nice and open across your chest. And then as the top of the head just gently reaches upward, you can start to watch your breath. Feeling the breath coming in and going out through your nose. Letting your breath come into your belly, feeling the belly rise and expand as you inhale. On your next exhale, let your hands come on out beside you. So if you're on the floor, your fingertips can lightly touch the ground here. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse and inhale the hands right up through the midline. On the exhale, open the arms on back out and down like wings. And now inhale your hands straight out from your shoulders and flex your hands so you feel the undersides of your arms. You can bend your elbows a little bit if that feels better. Just letting yourself open up there. And then bring your fingertips down towards the ground. So you come the other direction with your hands. And then just let your hands start to circle, but try to keep your arms fairly still as your hands circle in one direction. And then stop and reverse directions. Good, and then come back, flex your hands again, and start to bring your arms forward of your shoulders. So they're right directly forward of you here. Good. And then let your fingertips face down there, and then face up here. And then one more time, letting your hands again, fingertips come down, and then flex through the hands here. Good. And then lower your arms on down beside you. Take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, let's twist to our right, bringing your left hand around towards your right knee or as far as you want to go. And lengthen up through the top of your head. One more inhale. And on the exhale, come on back around through center. We're going to go in the other direction. Just waking up the spine here, feeling that twist there in the middle of your back. Good. One more inhale. And on the exhale, come on back around into center again. And if you're cross-legged on the floor, if you need to stretch your legs out before you switch the leg that's in front, you can stretch out and then bring your other leg in front if you were cross-legged. And then from here, again, release your arms on down beside you. And let's inhale the arms up into a wide V. And turn your pinkies towards each other. So you really feel, bend the elbows a little bit here. And then imagine that your arms are literally growing out of your back as they lengthen. So instead of the shoulders lifting up and being held up here from the tops of your shoulders come down. And as the pinkies come forward and you feel that openness here, there's space between your ears and your shoulders. Good. One more breath here. Feel the feet in the floor. We're going to lower the arms on down. Now, if you're on the floor, you can put fingertips back behind you, or you can go flat onto your hands. If you're in your chair, you can just lean back onto the back of your chair, letting yourself open up through your chest here. Be easy about your neck. Look forward if that feels better than looking up. One more breath. And then come on back up, and let's come forward a little bit. Now these forward bends are up to you. So on the floor, whether you need to stretch your legs out or stay cross-legged, think of coming forward from your low back, no matter how you are, up higher or down on the floor. And you can release to rest your hands on the floor, your elbows above your knees if you're in that chair. You can go farther forward, like if it feels good on the floor to walk further out, and even fold a little bit at the end where you let your head hang. Just be really mindful of how your back feels. You don't want to come into tucking your tailbone up under you. Good. Take your time. Nice, easy breaths. And we're going to slowly come on back upright. So ease your way up. And let's all stretch our legs out in front of us, whether we're in the chair or on the floor. You can have your knees a little bent if you're in your chair. And now let your feet flex and point. So you just feel the backs of the legs. And then when you point, you feel your thighs tighten up. So just ease your way into flexing and pointing your feet a few times. Good. And then we're going to make our way on around towards our hands and knees. And if you know you do not want to be on your knees, don't be. You know, use that blanket. Especially if you feel any kind of pain in your knees when you put them on the floor, put a cushion underneath you, right? And if you're standing up, just make sure everybody get either your feet or your knees under your hips here and be comfortable for your hands. And then just as you exhale, draw up into your cat pose if you can. Let your head hang. Let yourself feel the navel drawing towards the spine. And when you inhale, send your tailbone back and up. And as the belly sinks down and you let your heart melt down a little bit, you can decide in cow if you want to look forward or if you want to stay looking down. And you don't have to go this extreme in either pose, right? So as you start to move through your cat-cows, only you know how that feels. And of course, every day it feels maybe a little bit different. So if you need to back off a little bit and not go so deeply into either one of these poses and just let yourself feel a little bit of movement in the spine, do. Good. And then finish the one you're on or the one that you're moving into here now. And then come on back to a more neutral spine. And let's come on into our lunges. Bringing our left foot forward and our right foot back. And letting yourself come into your lunge. Whatever height you want to be. Hands on the blocks any height. Hands on your chair. Take your time, find that alignment there of your feet so it's like you're on very narrow railroad tracks. And then you're not bending that front knee farther forward than your ankle. Think of your head, back of your head coming into line with your spine if you can. So instead of lifting your chin up, right, and shortening the back of the neck, you feel nice and long. We're going to switch legs. So however you want to come to that other side, remember the length of your stance in your lunge is up to you. Just be mindful of that front knee. And then again, let yourself enjoy that length through the back of your neck and throat. So you're trying to get the back of your head there in line with your spine. Engaging your belly a little bit, but not so that you bring your tailbone up under you. Your tailbone's still reaching back. We're going to switch legs again. And for those of you who like to bring a little more into your legs and get out of your hands a little bit, you can try to bring your left hand or forearm up to your thigh there, or not. Not necessary to do that. Keep both hands down if you choose. Good. We're going to switch again. again, totally up to you whether it feels good to let that right hand come up or forearm come up to your thigh and come a little more deeply into your legs or not. Good. And then we'll bring our hands down if they're up so we can step forward and come on into standing forward bend. So really be mindful of your back here. You need a long spine, hands on the chair, or the blocks, or elbows above your knees with your knees bent. Keeps that low back long. So be mindful so that you're not putting undue stress into your low back at all. And if you can, let your head relax and hang a little bit due so that you can feel release there in your neck. And then feel the breaths expanding the ribs when you inhale. So coming into those nice full deep breaths. Both your inhales and your exhales. Good. So one more breath here. And then we'll bend our knees, bring our hands to our hips. We're going to rise on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And let our exhale bring our hands right down together in front of our hearts. So finding your mountain pose, adjust if you need to. Let your feet get hips distance apart and parallel. Toes are facing forward so you feel pretty parallel there. And then just float your arms, like let your arms hang for a second. And then just let a breath of air bring your arms slightly away from you. So they're not just hanging anymore. There's a little bit of energy there. And then rotate your palms forward and spread your hands out a little bit. Feel that openness across your chest now. Feel your tailbone reaching down towards between your heels. Feeling the hips coming over the ankles and the shoulders over your hips, so you feel very stacked easily. Easy to be in your mountain pose. On your next exhale, bend your elbows. Let your hands come softly together there in front of your chest. And then feel your feet in the floor and imagine you're drawing up out of those rooted feet. Your thighs gently are engaging upward, but you don't want to lock your knees. And it's okay if you have a little bit of movement and, a little bit of swaying or adjusting coming into mountain pose. Rather than feel like you're tightening everything up, it's really just, once you're aligned, it's very easy, effortless to be in your mountain. And as we unfold our arms now back down beside us, we're going to inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, bend your knees as you come forward. And you put your hands where you like. Let your next inhale help you find a flat back, whether your hands are on your shins or your thighs or your chair or your blocks. And we'll step the right foot back. Come into lunge. Finding that lunge, draw your shoulders down away from your ears. We'll come on into downward facing dog pose. Now this pose is totally up to you where your hands are. You all know they could be in a chair, on the blocks, on the floor. Reach back through your sitting bones and your tailbone to find a length through your spine. And go ahead and bend your knees or walk. Bend one knee at a time if that feels better. Whatever helps you come in more easily into finding that length in the spine of your dog. And on the next inhale, we'll come on out towards a plank, and you don't have to do a whole plank. You know that. You can do a half plank with your knees down. You can come to your forearms and do a forearm plank. You can bend your elbows, do little push-ups if you're in your plank, and that feels good. And we're going to come on back into down dog from here. So reaching your way back again and finding that length of your spine. Nice. This time, right foot will come forward to come into that lunge. So you can put a knee or knees down to get into that lunge again. And then we'll come all the way back forward into standing forward then, feet hips distance apart and parallel. And Be really mindful again of your back, whether you need to keep support or you like to go ahead and let yourself fold over your legs. Be aware of how your back feels. And now as you come to watching those breaths, let your face go. Really think of relaxing all the muscles of your face. And see if you can let your teeth separate a little bit, feeling released in your jaw. As we bend our knees here now, we'll bring our hands back to our hips and rise straight on up to standing. And inhale our arms out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Let's inhale our hands right up through the midline. Once they get up there, separate your hands a little bit and turn your pinkies towards each other, right? So mountain with arms overhead here now. And then let's lower our left arm down. Bend your right elbow. Just let yourself find a little bit there. It doesn't matter whether your elbow needs to come forward or out or maybe more up towards the ceiling. Just feel your tricep a little there. And then go ahead and extend up through that right arm again. And we're going to come over into a side stretch here, letting yourself breathe into your right ribs. Now really focus on reaching up through the fingertips as much as you're going to the side, really. So it's like you're creating lots of space between the ribs on your right side. And then come on back up. We're going to lower that right arm down and let the left arm come all the way up at the same time. And then bend your left elbow and see what you can do there for your tricep there and your shoulder. Everybody's different. Do what feels okay for your shoulder. And then stretch up into that long arm. And again, think of reaching up through those left fingertips and keep that reaching up feeling as you go a little bit to the side. So now there's lots of space between the ribs here. Letting yourself breathe into the left side of the body here. And then we'll come on back up. We're going to lower both arms on down and interlace your fingers behind you. Let yourself just release the hands so they just rest gently on your low back there. See if you can come into a couple of three-part breaths. Inhaling into the belly, then into your ribs, and then up into your chest. And you can even imagine letting that breath come out of the chest first when you exhale, and then the ribs, and then the belly. Good. One more deep inhale here. And then as you exhale, bend your knees, come forward, and try to stay about parallel to the floor with your back, right? You don't even have to go that far, but don't go any further than that. So you have a flat back, like you're a tabletop in your back. Nice and long. Think of your head being in line with your spine as well. One more breath. And then as you exhale, release your hands. Come on into your standing forward bend. And on your next inhale, find that nice flat back again. This time hands support you wherever you like. And left foot will step back to come into lunge. See if you can again find that lunge here through your whole body and draw your shoulders away from your ears. Good. We're going to come on into a downward facing dog pose. So be mindful when you come into dog of your own shoulders. Whatever surface your hands are on, see if you can just really feel equal through your hands and elbows are gently hugging towards each other. And on the next inhale, we'll come on out towards that plank. And again, you don't have to do a full plank. You can stay back towards your dog a little bit, maybe come a little forward. You can go down with your knees or go to your forearms. You can do the push-ups if you want. Elbows in towards the ribs if you're going to do those yoga-style push-ups. And then we'll make our way again back into down dog. Reaching back through the tailbone. And this time left foot will come forward to find that lunge. Doesn't matter what you need to do to get back into your lunge. And then we'll come all the way back into our standing forward bend. So again, get your feet set, take your time. Let yourself, if possible, feel the weight of your head. If that bothers your back, keep your head more in line with your spine now. And then breaths. Watch the breath all the way in and all the way out. Soft face. You can imagine relaxing your throat. Bring our hands to our hips. We're going to rise on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's unfold our arms. Bring our hands again behind us and clasp your hands. Just interlace your fingers, really. And then when you inhale, let your hands come a little off your back there, off wherever they reach, right? And when you exhale, let them come back to touch. So when you inhale, just let the hands come a little away. Depends on you how far. And when you exhale, let them come back down. And then one more time. Inhaling, letting the hands come as far away as you can. And then as you exhale, let them come back down. And let's release our arms down beside us. This time, inhale both arms forward and up into that mountain with arms overhead again. Turn your pinkies inward a little bit. Feel the shoulders away from your ears. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we'll bend the knees and come forward into standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that flat back again. And we're going to come into down dog wherever you like your hands to be. Whatever height. Reaching back into your dog. Elbows hug towards each other. See if you can walk a little bit in your dog now. Bend a knee at a time. Good. And on your next inhale, come on out towards that plank. Optional back bend here. You don't need to do one. You can if you choose. You can go down to the floor, do a sphinx or a cobra. You can come through for an up dog if you choose. And then we'll make our way back again into downward facing dog pose. Be mindful. Take your time there. Find your dog. Walk or bend your knees if you need to. And we're going to do that same thing again. We'll come out towards that plank, and again, it is totally optional to come into a back bend from here. So you can be on the floor and come up into a sphinx or a cobra, or you can be in your plank and move through to an up dog if you choose. And then we'll come on back again into downward facing dog pose. And let's bring our right foot forward to find lunge. Draw your shoulders down when you get into your lunge and feel the feet just gently trying to make your mat longer. Right? So you're pressing your feet away from each other. Feel how your belly engages. Still make sure you're not tucking your tailbone up under you. And then we'll come on forward and come into standing forward bend. And I know some of you really like to release fully and hold your elbows, feel that entire weight of your torso. If that's good for you, go for it. Just be really mindful. Feel your breath coming in and going out. And feel your ribs expanding as you inhale. So when you inhale, the ribs expand in all directions. When you exhale, just imagine that the top of the head gets closer towards the ground. That doesn't mean it has to get there, right? Just in your mind's eye, you imagine the top of the head gets closer towards the floor when you exhale. Good. So one more breath. And then as we bend our knees, we'll bring our hands to our hips and come on up to standing, and we'll inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come together in front of our hearts. Let's bring our left arm on top of our right and give ourselves a hug. Let yourself really hug here, right? Whether you're lower down sort of towards your armpits or up and over the top of your shoulders a little bit. And then just turn your head a little bit side to side. Let yourself just turn to look one way and the other. Good. And then come on back to look forward and shift into a little chair pose. Don't make it a big one. Your knees bend, your torso comes a little forward. Now your tailbone's reaching back on a diagonal line. And you can decide if you like to come into a full eagle arm wrap here or a half wrap or stay hugging. So just let your shoulders release where you can. Feel the quads engaging, really strong here. Press down into your feet. And now imagine you're pressing a little more into your heels. And keep pressing into the feet. Rise on up from there. And we're going to undo our arms and release them on down beside us. And now float your arms up again, out from your shoulders, and bring your right arm on top of your left to come into that hug. And again, once you get there, just let your head turn a little bit side to side. Doesn't matter which way, just releasing a little bit there. And then when you bring yourself back to your gaze forward, we're going to, again, sit back towards that little chair pose again. So release there. You can go deeper if you want. That's up to you. And you can decide whether you want to release into your eagle wrap or your half eagle wrap or stay hugging. Again, feel the feet equal in the floor. Press a little more down into your heels. And then keep pressing into the feet. Float your way on back up. And we'll unwind our arms on down beside us here. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. Finding our mountain pose. So if you need to shift a little bit, or if you need to look at your feet, look at your feet. If it helps you to, actually look and make sure you're aligned. And that's why often there are mirrors in rooms where people teach yoga, so that you can look in the mirror and see if you're aligned. I personally would prefer to just look myself at my own feet and not have a mirror in front of me, but just enjoy feeling that length up through the top of your head, feet equal in the floor. And then just release and let your arms unfold on down beside you and shake out whatever you need to do. Walk around if you need to. I'm going to flip my chair around. We're going to have our blocks handy too at the front of our mat. And we're going to step our right foot back and come into warrior two. So get your heels aligned. Remember, whether your feet are 2 feet or 3 feet or less or more apart, it's still the same alignment of that front knee. No farther forward than your ankle, right out over the center of your foot. I mean, you can bend it a little deeper, see how it feels when you go out to your toes or beyond, but man, you probably don't want to stay like that because it is a lot of pressure into the knee. And let's just float our arms on up and turn our palms up for a second with our elbows really melting down. Let yourself feel really soft in the tops of your shoulders. And remember how we talked about the arms growing out of your back. As you rotate your palms down and reach out through the tips of your fingers, let yourself feel the tops of your shoulders softening down. Feet equal in the floor. We're going to turn our left palm up, bring your right hand to your leg and reach up with that left hand. And that right hand can give you a little support there as you breathe into the left side. And on your next exhale, come into that side angle. Whether you put your left hand or your forearm to your thigh or your chair, you're leaning your torso out over that left leg there. And you can add the top arm. Now, the top arm can be in line with the right side of your body, so it's kind of close into your head. Or if that hurts your shoulder, you can bring the arm straight up if you want to. So you've got to find what your shoulder allows you to do there. Keep the hand on the hip if you need to. Don't use it at all, right? One more breath. Feel that length through both sides of the body. And then we'll come on back into warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other as we come. That gets you back into the core strength. Feel your feet equal in the floor. We're going to put our right hand down on our right hip and we're going to straighten the left leg out. And now we're going to bring the left hand down for triangle. So the only difference really between triangle and side angle is that both legs are straight in triangle. Your torso is still moving out over that left leg. You can always look at your left foot. Just kind of make sure that you're even in it. You're not rolling to the outside of that foot. And then bring your right shoulder up towards the ceiling. You can add the top arm straight up if you choose, or you can keep your hand down. So how low you go is not important in triangle. It's keeping that length of the spine. Beautiful. We're going to bend the left knee and come on back into warrior two. Again, pressing the feet gently away from each other, releasing the tops of the shoulders down. Reach out through your fingertips so the whole body is in the pose. And then we'll bring our hands down. We're going to turn our feet more parallel. And you can grab your blocks if you need them. Coming into your wide-legged forward bend. Letting your hands be any height you want, and go ahead and start to bend a knee at a time as long as your knees let you do that. You don't want to be uncomfortable. You don't want to feel any kind of pain in your knees, that's for sure. So take your time. Feel those inner thighs. Good, and then come on back into feeling equal through your legs. Whether you have both your knees bent or both legs straight. Either one, right? And feel yourself pressing your feet away from each other, like you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet. And imagine your inner thighs melting their way behind you. And now you can set up to stay in this pose to get out of your hands by stacking your blocks up if you want to, and coming onto forearms on blocks to get out of your hands. Or of course you can go ahead and fold forward, letting the top of the head release down towards the ground and your hands come more to between your feet. Only you know how this feels, in your hips and in your back. And let yourself go to your breath. So just watching those full, complete deep breaths, following the breath all the way through to the end of your inhales and all the way through to the end of your exhales. And just appreciating the movement through the ribs as you breathe in and out. One more full, complete, deep breath here. Now to rise up, you know this is up to you, how you come on up from here. You can let your hands help you to your thighs. You can bring your feet together first. And if you're dizzy, be really mindful and take your time. Move through your feet and your ankles a little bit if you'd like. And we're going to come to the other side. So bringing stuff around to where you think you need it and stepping that left foot back and letting your heels, again, come into that line and that bend of that front knee, just be really mindful. It doesn't have to bend deeply. If your stance is shorter, it's barely going to bend, right? And then from there, start to float your arms up again. Turn your palms up, let your elbows come down. So you feel like, there's this total release here at the tops of your shoulders. You feel your shoulders are way down away from your ears. And then as you start to turn the palms down and reach out through the fingertips and look over the top of that right hand now you're still soft in the tops of your shoulders. It is like your arms are being held up from underneath. Good. We're going to turn the right palm up. Let your left hand come down to your leg there and then just reach up and really full breaths into the right side here. And on your next exhale, come into that side angle. So now the right leg stays bent. You can put your hand on your right thigh. You can go down to your forearm. You can use your chair. And then again, this top arm, very optional. Hand can stay on the hip. You can, if you want, add the arm up into line with the left side of the body so it comes in fairly close to your ear. Or if not, bring the arm straight up if that's something your shoulder wants to do, right? Good. Lengthen through the spine. Good. We're going to come on back into warrior two from there. Reaching out through our fingertips. And bringing our left hand down to our hip, we're going to straighten our right leg out. Now triangle pose. Torso comes out over that right leg again. And all you do is put your hand down where you want, right? You can use a block. You can use your chair. You can use your leg. And as the left shoulder comes up, you can decide if you want to add the arms straight up from your shoulder. Now, lift your thighs up. Feel your thighs engaging up towards your hips, like you're creating space in your knees. A lot of leg work going on in triangle pose. And then we'll bend our right knee. We're going to come on back into warrior two. Let the feet press away from each other to get you right back into that core strength. Nice. Hands are going to come down and feet are going to come more parallel. And again, grab blocks if you need them. Let yourself come on forward. If you need to wiggle around a little bit and bend a knee a little bit at a time, do it so you can adjust your stance and get pretty comfortable. And then come on out with your hands either on the floor or blocks in front of you so that your back is flat, long, right? So you might not be parallel to the floor. If your hands are on the floor, you'll be lower with your torso, but you'll still have a long back. And then we're going to come into a little twist by bringing our right hand up to our hip and then rolling our shoulder up. Now you can put your flat of your palm right there on your low back. So you can stay right there. You can rise your right arm up towards the ceiling if you've got that in your shoulders. Good luck to you. That's a hard one. And then let yourself come on down with the right hand, and we're going to go to the other side. So once the left hand comes up, if you can get the palm right down on your sacrum and roll your shoulder up, you've got a twist right in the middle of your back here now. You're trying not to let your hips become uneven. And you can lift the arm up, left arm up if you want. Nice. And then come on back down, bring your hand on back down. Bend both your knees for a second and put your elbows above your knees if you can. So you're in a squat, a really wide kind of squat here. Let it feel really good to support yourself with your elbows and lengthen your spine. And then you decide how you want to come in to stay in this pose now with support, either hands on the floor or on the blocks, or stack your blocks up and use them for your forearms or for your head. You know, let yourself experiment a little bit. If you feel uncomfortable, change how you are. So you don't want to have to focus on some kind of minor discomfort in the body, right? You just want to be able to follow your breath very easily, all the way in and all the way out. And let your face go. And your jaw relax. Good. And one more nice, full, deep breath. And then to prepare to rise up, if you need to change how far apart your feet are or anything before you come up, do it. And then once you come up, just walk around a little bit, move through your feet, your ankles. We're going to come into Warrior One this time. I'm going to turn my chair around. We're going to do a little pyramid too. So make sure you have your blocks handy right here at the front if you don't have a chair especially. And we're going to step our right foot back and come into Warrior One. So coming into those shoulders around to square towards the front of your mat. And then just let your arms hang for a second. And see if you can start to do a little tiny swing forward and back with your arms. Now in order to do that and not wiggle all over the place, right, you're really using right here the belly, the low back, and the hips. So just let yourself enjoy. Feel the weight of the arms. Let it feel good. And then we're going to think about swinging the arms all the way up and up into that wide open V. Turn your pinkies towards each other. Bring your gaze up a little bit if you can. Feel that lift at the base of your shoulder blades. And feel that lift in the front of the body. That downward release through the back of your body. Good. One more breath. And then bring your gaze forward if it's not already, and bring your hands down. And we're going to straighten that left knee out. Bring our hips around square here now. These hip pointers are really square. And come on forward, and let's bring our hands down into either on the chair seat or down onto blocks any height if you want. So coming into pyramid pose, and adjust your feet if you need to once you get your hands down. So remember that back heel is turned out, maybe your foot's turned out like 20 or 30 degrees. It's not a big turnout, but your foot is fully on the floor. Your heel is down. Your thighs are lifting up towards your hips. And you're lengthened through your spine here. Now whether you like to fold over that front leg or not is up to you. So if it feels good, you can bend your elbows or put your hands lower and fold forward over that front leg. If that doesn't feel good, don't do it. Stay up with that longer back. Feeling the engagement in the legs, the wonderful release through the back of your legs here. Good. One more breath. And now, let your hands come down so that you can bend that front knee and step forward with your right foot so your feet are now right underneath your hips. Your hands are under your shoulders, whether they're on the blocks or the chair, okay? Bring your feet a little closer together. It depends on you how much, because bend both your knees. When you lift your right foot off the floor, you'll know whether you're at the right place in that post leg, that left supporting leg. So once you're up now and you've got that right foot up, let's extend the leg back into warrior three. Turn the toes down towards the ground. You can even look back and look at your foot so you know it's looking down. And now bend both your knees again. Bring your right knee in beside your left. And then as you inhale, stretch it back again into that warrior two. So exhale, bringing your knees in side by side. And inhale, stretch it back. And then one more time. Exhale, letting the knees come in together. And then inhale, stretch it back. And now if you want to reach your left arm up off the block or the chair, you're welcome to. I like to have the chair and put my hand on the back of it. It's perfect. And we're going to bring the hand down, bring the foot down. Separate your feet towards the outside edges of your mat. And then bring your elbows above your knees. Let yourself release there in your hips. Let it feel good. Good. And then we're going to slowly rise on up from there and bring our feet together, shake out a little bit before we do the other side. Move for your feet if you want to. And this time, as we come forward, we'll step the left foot back. Remember, warrior three, how long of a stance you take, totally up to you. And if you like to widen your feet so that you don't have your heels in a line, right? That gives you a broader base of support. So when you step back and you have your feet a little bit wider, it makes perfect sense that you don't have so much balance issues, right? And you can more easily get your shoulders around, too, so you're square to the front of your mat. So once you're square there, and you have yourself really easily there into your legs evenly, let your arms come down. And again, see if you can just start that little swinging. So your belly has to work. Your low back is working, your hips are working to keep you there. Good. Now all we're going to do is swing them all the way up overhead. Now you can have your arms wider V or closer over your shoulders with your hands if you want. Feel that lift again if you can. Imagine somebody has a string attached to your sternum and they're drawing it towards maybe where the wall meets the ceiling in front of you. So it's up, but it's not directly up, right? So you have this sense of this long diagonal line with that string. And then just release into your breath, inhaling up the front of your body and exhaling down the back. One more breath. And then as you bring your gaze forward, lower your arms on down. Straighten the front leg out. If you already need to adjust to get your hips square, do it. And then come on forward, put your hands down to whatever kind of support you want. So the chair or the blocks. And then if you want to adjust the length of your stance. Sometimes getting shorter or longer feels better for pyramid. So remember that back foot. Still, it's not turned parallel to the back edge of your mat. The heel is rotated back more than that. And then you can feel your thighs lifting up towards your hips, lengthen out through the spine. And let your legs really be working here. Feel that like you're making space in your knees. You're using all those muscles around your knees. If you like to bow over your front leg, by all means do. You can let yourself fold over or not if it's too much. And breathe. Good. One more breath. And now come on up a little more parallel to the floor if you were folded, because we're going to bend that front knee, step forward, get our feet underneath our hips and our hands under our shoulders, so you got to adjust there. Highest high to the blocks or be up on the chair seat really. And then let your feet again come a little closer together. When you lift the left foot up, it's really telling. You'll know if you have your right foot in the right place. And then when you extend that leg back, again, if you don't know whether you're lifting the hip, look at your left foot back there and you can see the toes facing directly down. And now as you exhale, bend both your knees. Bring your knees side by side. And as you inhale, stretch that leg back behind you. So exhale, bend both your knees, really feel the hips here, and then when you inhale, reach back into that warrior three. And one more time, letting yourself bend the knees side by side, and when you inhale, stretch back again. And again, you can decide if you want to bring that right hand off the block. You can put it up on your hip if you want, or your low back, or reach it forward, or let yourself just hold on for dear life to both blocks. One more breath here. And then we'll bring both our feet back down to the floor. Separate your feet wider again and bring your elbows again above your knees. Let yourself release your hips so you're really sitting back. And breathe into where you need it. So if your hips are going, oh my gosh, try to imagine you're breathing into your hip or hips. Good. One more breath. And now to rise up again. Take your time as you come on back up. If you're dizzy, be mindful of that, and then bring your feet together and move around a little bit. And we're actually going to go down to our mats right here where they are onto our bellies. So let yourself just come on down. Make a little pillow with your hands. If you can, as long as, that doesn't bother your neck. And then just release. If you need to turn your head sideways, by all means do. Or if you need to not put your head on your hands, you got to be comfortable. And then bend your knees and let your feet circle around. Just your feet. You're moving through your feet and your ankles. And you can do any kind of foot dance you want back there. Move them around however you want. If you like to do the windshield wiper blades with your lower legs coming from one side to another, you can do that too. Good. And then come on back with legs down long, and let's come on to our forearms. Let our hands come together and clasp, and send your pinky finger out. Now when you come up into this half forearm plank, you're on the flesh above your knees, remember? So you're not directly on your kneecaps. You're above them. And you're engaging your belly. Flex your feet so you can really feel engagement there even as you flex your feet. And feel that sense of reaching your sitting bones down towards the back of your knees. Right? So that you're not dropping into your belly. Good. One more breath. And then let yourself release. Hips down, legs long. Unclasp your hands and clasp them the other way with your other thumb on top, which feels really weird. And then send your pinky finger out. Bend your knees again. And lift back up into that forearm plank. And it'll feel differently. Right? If you want to do a full forearm plank, that's fine. Put your feet down. Lift your knees up. Come into your full one if you'd rather. Pressing into the outside edges of the hands, pressing into the forearms, elbows hugging in towards each other. Good. And then let yourself release and come on down. And make that pillow again with your head, for your head. Rest yourself there for a breath or two into your low back. up into a Sphinx pose. Now, this is different for all of us, whether we can come up with elbows above the shoulders, or maybe we need to stay lower with the body and slide the arms down more, the elbows down towards the waist more. Either one of these is a back bend, right? So take your time, let yourself be where you can. Bring your gaze, if you're up here higher with your shoulders over your elbows, just look there between your hands, or maybe a little farther forward, so it feels really good. One more breath. Good. And now, make that pillow again with your hands. Rest your head. And we're going to draw our right knee right beside us off to the floor, off our mat. Like if you were sleeping on your side in a bed, you're just bringing the knees on the floor and you're just bringing it up a little bit, and let yourself just release your hips there, breathing into your hips. Now, some of you might want to come back up to that Sphinx pose, right? Not totally into it, but just up a little bit. It might feel good. It might feel like more of a release in your hip, or it might feel like, oh, good grief, no, I'm staying here. Right? So you can maybe lift your head a little bit. If that feels okay, you can go up higher if you want. Half frog. You feel like a frog a little bit? This is a half one. We're a half a frog. We're going to bring that knee back, and then we're going to bring the left knee off to the side. So again, you can stay with your head right there. Just breathe into, like if you feel tightness up here in your low back or into that left hip, breathe into it. Imagine you're bringing your breath right where you need it. You can come up a little bit if you choose to, if that feels even better, or not. Good. One more breath there. And now bring your head down if it was up. We're going to stretch the legs down. Now both legs are long. And let's bring our hands right by our chest, like your upper chest. Elbows are going to hug in towards each other. And then imagine you're trying to pull your hands down towards your waist. And feel how you actually kind of pull yourself a little towards the front of your mat with that. And this is a cobra if you lift your head up and your chest is a little bit up. That's a cobra pose, right? You don't have to go high at all. Yeah? Just barely clearing your nose is using your back muscles. And it doesn't have to be extreme. I know a lot of you like to go up into a cobra pose with your arms coming longer. So if you like that, you can come on up with your elbows hugging in towards your ribs, shoulders away from your ears. Don't do it if it's too much. So try not to sink into your shoulders. Shoulders draw down. You're really engaging here. And then we're going to come on back in towards child's pose for everybody, whether you're down on your belly or up. Let yourself release towards pose of a child, and only you know your hips and your back. So only go as far as feels right. You know, you can put that little pillow under your head again in child's pose. You can have your bottom up in the air even and do that. If your knees don't let you go back farther, just don't do it. The other thing is you can let your arms come back along your legs with your palms up if that feels really even more releasing. That's certainly not for everybody. You just have to find what works for you to find relief, right? And now that idea of breathing into your low back. Like if I have my hands right on your low back, which if it wasn't COVID time, I could walk around and I could actually put my hands on your back, then you want to feel like you could make the hands rise on your low back. So you're literally expanding your low back with your breath. Good. One more breath there. When you're ready to rise up, let your hands help you. Come up how you need. And we're going to bring our legs on around in front of us. So take your time, grab a blanket if you think. We're just going to sit in staff pose with our legs out in front of us. So sometimes blanket to sit on, maybe even blocks underneath your knees, or sitting on the blocks and putting a blanket underneath your knees, so the opposite works too. Just so if you're tight in your low back and you're tight in your hamstrings, that you're not trying to force your legs to be straight, right? And you can't, the way you're built is the way you're built. So that's why all these props kind of help you adjust. If sitting up, so that when you sit, you're in the shape of that capital letter L with your back really straight, because your hips do this, then you don't need anything. But if you're not built as such, add stuff to help make it easier for you. And then just bring your hands beside you. Staff pose, very simple, not so simple to do, right? It's a hard pose because you're engaged, You're feeling your heels on the floor, and you're drawing your heels back towards you a little bit and pressing into the balls of your feet a little bit. So your legs are engaged. And then almost think of, as you lift up through the top of your head, it's almost like you're light on your sitting bones, right? It's almost like you could lift yourself up off the floor, just with the top of the head going up. So there's tons of space in your spine. Good. One more inhale. And then as you exhale, let yourself bend. I'm going to mirror you. Right knee. Let's all bend the right knee. And let the foot be on the floor, maybe below your knee. So we're going to twist. Actually do make it below your knee. Even if you're like, well, I can bring it up here. Just leave it below the knee for now. And then inhale into the length of your spine. And as you exhale, bring your right hand behind you and twist. And either keep your hand right there, your left hand on your shin, or maybe bring that arm all the way across to the outside of your leg. If you do that, sometimes it really feels good in your shoulder if you bring it across onto the outside with the arm long. But don't do that if it bothers your shoulder. Just keep the hand on the shin. Good. One more breath here. On the exhale, come on back to stop at center. Keep your legs where they are. Take an inhale. And now as you exhale, you're going to twist the other way. So as your left hand comes behind you, see if you can put your right hand on the top of your left leg. And you don't want this knee to go out sideways. You want the knee pressing into your arm a little bit so you can come into the twist there and you're really lengthened up. Good. Feel your sitting bones in the floor. One more inhale. And on the exhale, use your belly to come on back around into center. Reach that leg long and bring your left foot right below your knee on the floor. So the knee is facing up. And sitting up nice and tall into that inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to twist, bringing our left hand behind us. So we're twisting towards the leg first. And then again, if you want to bring the arm across, you can, if that feels good. Take your time. Don't do that with the arm. If it bothers your shoulder, just keep your hand on your leg. Good. One more inhale. Let your exhale bring you back to center and take a breath here. And as you exhale, we're going to twist the other way. So again, if you can get that left hand to touch the top of that long right leg, do it. And let your knee press in towards your arm a little bit there. Let yourself lengthen up. So that you're not losing engagement in the hip, right? You're really using the hip. Beautiful. One more inhale. And as you exhale, use your belly to come back around into center. Stretch both legs long and bring your hands behind you. Now you can be on fingertips or you can go flat to your hands there. But instead of like dropping in your chest, it's that same thing if you had a string attached to your sternum and it's drawing it up forward on that diagonal line, which draws your shoulders down and back, right? And of course, everybody's shoulders don't do the same thing. Sometimes just being on your fingertips is enough and helps you get more open than being, leaning back onto your hands. So be where you can. Feel that openness across the front of the body. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to release, and we're going to come on up, shake out what you need, because we're going to lie down on our backs on the floor. So come on down. Have a block or two handy in case you want it by you. Let yourself come on down. Bring your knees on in towards your chest. Release your knees a little bit side to side, or circle the knees. If that feels even better, you can let your hands be on your knees and let them stay kind of close together, and let them circle in one direction and then the other. Good. And then bring the feet on down to the floor, and bring your arms down alongside you. Turn your palms down towards the ground for a second here. And get your feet set for bridge pose. And then let's bend our elbows to 90 degrees and let our palms face each other. And now from there, press into the backs of your arms and feel how your chest rises up. If you can roll your shoulders under as much as possible, do it. And then see if you can float your hips up. Maybe it's an inch. You don't have to go high to be in a bridge pose. If you press into your arms and lift up, there's a bridge, whether you're up higher and higher with your hips or just barely off the floor. And some people like to move and bridge. They like to press up, stay for a breath, and come back down. If that feels good to you, you can do that. Or you can go up and stay up. And of course, there's always the option of getting a block and putting a block underneath you and being in supported bridge. Always an option here. That block can be any height, and you can just totally rest on the block. Or you can play with yourself on the block too. You can lift up and down if you're on a block and play like that. Or you can put your feet, one leg up in the air or both feet up in the air. Or, you can lengthen one leg down long when you're on the block. And let yourself open the front of your hips that way. Or both legs can lengthen down long. That's extreme for some people. In fact, sometimes I feel like it's too much when I do it, and sometimes I feel like it's just heaven. So every day's a new day, right? Let's be where you are and take your time. Some of you are already coming down, and you all know that you don't have to wait for me. Stay longer. We have time, so stay longer if you like to be in bridge pose a little bit longer, but if you need to come down, just make sure you bring your knees in towards your chest or release. You can bring one knee in at a time. You can go into happy baby pose if you want to. If you need, when you come down, if you need to do a twist, whether it's both knees coming from one side to another or bringing one knee in and across, you can do some little twists. Maybe there's something else your body is really wanting to do. If that's the case, do whatever your body is kind of naturally wanting to do. So take your time and look for signs that somebody wants a bolster. Yep. Don't give up on me. Getting around. You need a blanket for underneath your head. It's often a nice, it doesn't have to be a big fold of a blanket. Sometimes it can be just one little fold of a blanket that helps you release in the back of your neck. So wave at me if I missed you and you feel like a little support would feel good. And let yourself just find that really comfortable place for your arms to be so that you're released up through your arms into your shoulders. Your head might want to roll a little side to side to let yourself release in your neck. And as you start to watch your breath, just easily accept the breaths in and out. Don't think about trying to control your breathing at all now. Just watch the breath. Your mind will start to quiet down with your breath, just like your body will. All you need to do is just keep returning to your breath. Give yourself the gift of these few minutes. And believe that your body will get what it needs. Actually, might be a little bit smarter than we are sometimes. So, just give yourself these few minutes and allow yourself to completely and fully relax. fingers and toes, hands and feet. You know, move in a way that feels good. If you need to stretch out, do. If you need to bring your knees up and in. I'm going to ground a little longer if you can. You know you're welcome to roll to either your right or your left side if you're comfortable to do that. You can come into a soft fetal position and let your knees be soft. And just give your body and your brain a little more time to adjust. Easy when you do feel like you're okay to rise up. See if you can let your eyes stay closed, or at least wait to close them again when you get up if you open them on your way up. So you can sit how is comfortable and let yourself stay inwardly focused. Letting yourself adjust upward through the top of your head and finding all that space in your spine. Feel your breath again, coming in and going out. Full and deep breaths if you can. And on your next exhale, let your hands come to meet there in front of your heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.
Namaste.